Hello everybody, welcome to another video. It is that time once again, time for our monthly 24-hour romance readathon. I do this every month with my friends Kevin, Chloe and Jamie. So I will leave their vlogs linked down below for our October version, which is on theme because we're going to be reading sort of dark horror type romances this time round. Very keen on the books that I am set to read. I'm hoping to get through quite a few, so I'll talk you through what they are. So the book I am planning to read first at this stage is Carmilla. I have this beautiful hardback edition. It's a very short book, and this is basically women vampires came before Dracula and definitely inspired it, and I'm pretty sure there's some women-loving women going on, so I'm very excited for this. I've seen plenty of quotes from it over the years and the writing looks to be something really special, so very entranced and intrigued. Hopefully it'll be a quick read considering it is very short and there is not very much text at all on the pages. So this is by Sheridan Le Fanu, and predating Dracula by 26 years, Carmilla is the original vampire story steeped in sexual tension and gothic romance. Thank you. Next up is a book that I'm actually in the middle of reading. It's not a novel, it is a collection of short stories by Angela Carter. This particular book is titled The Bloody Chamber because that is the first and most significant and famous short story in this collection. I've actually read The Bloody Chamber. I read it just the other day and I absolutely adored it. So if I'm feeling it, I might pick this up perhaps in between reads to read some more of the short stories in here because they are definitely dark and horror infused and gothic vibes, and most of them are romances because they are actually retellings of very famous fairy tales. From familiar fairy tales and legends, Red Riding Hood, Bluebeard, Puss in Boots, Beauty and the Beast, vampires and werewolves, Angela Carter has created an absorbing collection of dark, sensual, fantastic stories. I absolutely agree with that, having now read The Bloody Chamber, and I've also read Snow Child by Angela Carter. I adore both of them, definitely favourite short stories of mine. Her writing is fantastic, so hopefully I'll be able to find time during this readathon to read a few more of her short stories. Next up I have a book on my Kindle, which is charging right now, prepping for the 24-hour burst. This one I discovered when sort of researching for horror romances once we decided that's the theme that we wanted to go with this month. It is called Her Soul to Take. I don't know a great deal about it except that I think there are fantastical elements. I think it's very smutty and just a bit of a silly goofy not that deep time, which I think will be a nice contrast to the two classics that I previously mentioned. This is quite a long book. I think it's almost 500 pages on Kindle, but hopefully it'll be nice and quick. Hopefully it'll be a lot of fun and a dark sexy time. Depending on how I go with those three, I may well pick something else up. I recently acquired A Discovery of Witches, which is a book I'm incredibly keen to read. That features obviously witchcraft, vampires, all types of magical creatures, and is a romance, so that could be fun. It's a really long book, so I definitely wouldn't be finishing it, but I could well start it. And then another maybe is one that I've had on my Kindle for a while, Verity by Colleen Hoover. I am somewhat reluctant at this stage to read any more Colleen Hoover in my life, but we'll see. The thing is, I'm very in the thriller mood right now, and that's meant to be a sort of romantic wild thriller. Who knows, might end up happening. Jamie's actually going to read it this 24-hour readathon, so perhaps I'll wait for her to read it and then given her assessment to decide whether I want to spend some time with it, because obviously she has taste, she knows my taste, so of course I'll let that guide me. For the time being, I think I'm going to get set up, get on FaceTime with the gang and start reading Carmilla. I'll talk to you once I start reading. I've gone with Carden, beautiful bookmark, which Chloe gave me because it fits the colour scheme, and I know he is supportive of vampire lesbian girlies. Hello. I read probably like the first 30 or 40 pages of Carmilla and really liked it. Very atmospheric writing, beautifully composed sentences. Even when they are inextricably long, they are still really balanced and lovely to read. Gorgeous descriptions of setting, gothic castle, forest, all those sorts of vibes. Really enjoyed it. Then we took a quick break to do a Fortnite stream. That was lots of fun. It's just a classic moment in these romance readathons. And then I had some lunch and I've been reading ever since. So I'm actually on page 103 now. So I have only about 50 pages of the novel left. It is insanely fast to read and very, I think, accessible when it comes to classics from, you know, the 19th century and earlier. But it's definitely not super challenging to read. I think especially if you're sort of put off perhaps by how challenging and testing something like Dracula can be at times, and this obviously came before Dracula, don't let that put you off, because this is very much an easy to read vibe, and I like it a lot. And the girlies are saying a lot of sweet stuff to each other, doing a lot of sweet stuff to each other, but I can definitely see what's going on, and though that's the case, I'm not sure where it's all headed, so I'm excited to find out, and I'm sure I will finish it very soon, because as I keep saying, easy to read, very fast. Would recommend. Hello, interrupting my reading because I just got a book delivery. Not too sure what it is. Started opening it and Chloe was like, no offense, log it. Oh, okay, I remember this now. I got The Razor's Edge, which is a classic that I'd not heard of and is quite hard to track down, and oh my god, this font is tiny. Don't know about that, but it's very floppy, which we like. Nice, just very simplistic cloud mountain painting vibe cover. This is, I think, set in the 20s, and I think parallels are drawn between this and Gatsby because they're all kind of dealing with people going through it and the complexity of humanity and relationships and all those things. Apparently this author's a playwright and a short story writer and a critic as well. It tells the story of Larry Darrell, an attractive and enigmatic American who forsakes the comforts of bourgeois society to live a life dedicated to the pursuit of truth and meaning. Relatable. I would love to, you know, gap it, leave capitalism behind and just enjoy the pursuit of knowledge for the rest of my days. But he's got a fiance. He's also attracted to someone else because men be like that, I guess. That involves another man. So I think it's just lots of drama. Rich people going through it. Again, not dissimilar to Gatsby. Who knows if I'll read this soon or like in the next 10 years, but there we go. The Razor's Edge. I just finished Carmilla. Enjoyed it. Yeah, I did, yeah. Very quick, like I was saying before, and would absolutely recommend it. It is somewhat limited in the way that so many classics are. Obviously, all of our art and media now is so saturated, and with something like a vampire story, you expect to see so many vampire moments when you're watching or reading things that are more modern. As with so many classics, a lot of that stuff is off the page, beyond the page, so it's not really like an action style vampire story. Same with the romance, it's much more to do with implication. Although it's contained, it's still really good and I think satisfying. Perhaps not entirely towards the end, but I definitely enjoyed it, and there were moments that were really beautifully written, lots of lovely lines, but I think overall, though at its best I think it's probably a 4-star, I think overall it's more of a 3, but still very impressive, still very high caliber of writing, and read it if you feel like a really short, easy to read step into a classic time. Carmilla is your girl. I think now I might read one of the books on my Kindle, maybe Her Soul to Take. Maybe I'll see what that's like, but I'll let you know. Hello, so I did start reading Her Soul to Take. I am 41% of the way through and I'm into it. So when I first started reading it, I was like, not sure about this. I was pretty close to putting it down, to be honest, but for some reason I kept going, and shortly after that point I got really into it. It's by no means the best thing I've ever read. It's not fantastic or amazing or even objectively good, but it's good. You know what I mean? I'm having fun with it. It's definitely sexy. I love a demon man's covered in blood, exactly like Yet Again. If you get it, you get it. And I happen to get it, so I'm enjoying the book. I'm not too sure what my plan is. I think it's sort of around dinner time now, so I might take a break, have some food, rest my eyes for a little bit because they are getting a bit weary, and then perhaps come back and read more of Her Soul to Take, or even read a short story or two in my Angela Carter collection. Plenty of fun options. Hello, it is significantly later now and I've read more of Her Soul to Take. No offense, where's my demon boyfriend? I'm really in it now, you guys. Like, it's not good, but it's good. You know what I mean? It's way too long. Objectively, don't know. Subjectively, absolutely. Even though it is too long. But I'm at 79% now, so the plan is to finish this tomorrow because Chloe and I are about to start A Discovery of Witches. This is a book that it's kind of been like a recent decision for us to read, but ever since we decided, we were like, okay, absolutely, when are we starting? So when she was like, should we start it? I was like, yeah, full offense. So that's what we're gonna do. It is a kind of all magical world. Like there are all manner of magical creatures, witches, vampires, all kinds of things. I've watched a couple of seasons. I've watched a couple of episodes of the first season of the TV show, and I liked it a lot because I'm a Matthew Good warrior. Like if he's in something, I'll watch it. And for some reason I didn't continue. I think because I just have a very short attention span with television, but I'm definitely interested in reading the book and then hopefully watching the show. And I think the second season of the show is out now too, because this is obviously a series, so hopefully it's a lot of fun. I think it is meant to be fun. I'm not expecting, you know, some really intricate high art vibe. Like I think it's just meant to be fun. I think they're meant to just fall in love and be like, wow, there are so many magical creatures in this world, including us. How about that? And honestly, that does sound like a good time. So hopefully it is, because it is 500 and something pages. So yeah, we're gonna start and see how we go. But I do have something for you to please help me with. As always, bookmark choice. First choice is the Carden bookmark, which Chloe actually gave me. This is what I was using for Carmilla earlier today. The quote on the back is, if you're the sickness, I suppose you can't also be the cure. So I mean, you know this one, but that's the vibe. And because like my copy is the black and red, it's like nice pairing. And then I also have just more of a like classic all-rounder I Heart books with a little ribbon. What do you think?
The I Heart books is a classic, but not a little boring. So
whoa, okay. Guess my bookmarks are boring unless Chloe gets them for me. No, I know what you mean. Like, it's not the sort of bookmark I'd choose for like a really fun book. I know what you mean. No, we want to have fun. We want to have Carden fun. So it'll be this way. Exactly. Everyone, it's actually been a few days since the readathon ended, so I'll catch you up on how I went with the remainder of my reading during the 24-hour period. The reason I didn't do so on the day was because one, I was just really in the zone with reading. Two, I ended up getting my second COVID vaccine jab that evening, and then over the next couple of days I felt horrible in the aftermath of that. And then I've also been working on a rather huge university assignment, so had a bit of time out from everything. But I did end up doing a lot of reading toward the end of the readathon, so to talk you through it, you will have seen that I went to the park. That was lovely, spent some time in the sun. But the first thing I did was wake up and finish reading Her Soul to Take whilst in bed. Delightful. This book was just fun, wasn't it? It was just a lot of fun. It was ridiculous, far-fetched. It was in a lot of ways unremarkable, but just a good time and totally suited to a silly goofy horror romance readathon vibe. So had fun, would recommend it if you're into that sort of thing. Bit of an alpha male type vibe with the love interest, so do be wary of that. The main character is really into her horror type stuff. I don't know how many times I can say it's just like a fun time, but it was. I gave it 3 stars, and I'm definitely interested in reading more of Harley LaRue's books because apparently one of them is insane. So insane that you can't even get it on Kindle. I think it's called The Dare, something like that. So I might see if I can track that down somehow. This is the first in a trilogy as well, so hopefully the next one will come out soon and I'm keen to read it. Next thing I did was jump on FaceTime with Chloe and read some more of A Discovery of Witches, the book that I had started the night before. Here she is. On the Friday evening, I read maybe just under 50 pages, maybe like 5 or so chapters of A Discovery of Witches, and my general thoughts at that time were that I wasn't loving it, but I was in it. I was enjoying it. I thought it was really quickly established what kind of tone the book would have, what the world was like, our setting, our key characters, those types of things. It was immediately clear that the world and the story had been set up reliably. You know how sometimes you can just pick up a fantasy and immediately be like, okay, I feel pretty safe and informed here. I can kind of see what's going on without too much effort on my part and seemingly without much effort on the author's part, which is always quite impressive. However, we read some more of it in the morning and things were getting very questionable with the love interest, with the vampire who, you know, the night before we'd been very excited about, like, tall vampire king, thank you. Turns out no thank you. Chloe made the astute observation that he has Christian Grey vibes. That prompted me to look at when the book was originally published, 2011, definitely the height of the 50 Shades saga, and that particular type of love interest started appearing in almost everything due to the success of those books and movies. We got about 100 pages in, and to be honest, like, my copy is 700 pages, and the thought of 600 more pages of a Christian Grey vampire, I don't know about that, guys. I don't know about that. And if you wonder what I mean by that character parallel, just basically talking down to women, talking rudely about women, just those kind of misogynistic vibes that are definitely not sexy and not fun to read about. Like, why read something like that when I could be reading about, like, Aaron Blackford, you know? So though I got about 100 pages into this, I'm not going to be picking it back up. I'm not necessarily saying I'll never read it. It's not a definite DNF, but it's definitely a pause. That's where I stand on A Discovery of Witches as of right now. So whilst in the park, I was reading The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter, working through some more of the short stories in this collection. I ended up reading all of them because I just really got on a roll with her writing, and though they are obviously lots of different stories, there are absolutely links and connections to be made in style, in form, in content, because they are all sort of these fairy tale retellings. They do sort of have tethers to each other and can be read, and I think in a more novelistic way, rather than maybe having to separate them into more episodic reading ventures as you might have to do with short story collections that are kind of here, there and everywhere. This was more streamlined in terms of what's actually in the short stories, which made it easier to consume all at once, and I loved it. I'm so blown away by Angela Carter. I know I keep saying that, but she's definitely a new favorite for me, and I can't wait to explore more of her work, because The Bloody Chamber and these other stories, though not all of them were as good as The Bloody Chamber or Snow Child, this whole experience was absolutely 5 stars. So that's what I gave it. Some of my favorite short stories from memory were obviously The Bloody Chamber and The Snow Child. I really loved The Lady of the House of Love. The Company of Wolves was fantastic. Lots going on here. All of it very good. Also, the final short story in this collection is called Wolf Alice, and I'm wondering and assuming it's pretty likely that the band Wolf Alice is named that after the short story, which makes me love them even more, and I already love them a lot. I actually met their guitarist when I went to one of their shows here. He was stunning, so if they got their name from Angela Carter's short story Wolf Alice, that's even more stunning. So that is it for this particular installment of the monthly 24-hour romance readathon. I hope you had fun watching all our vlogs. I hope you had fun if you joined us. Thank you again for all the love that I've been receiving having launched my Patreon. So lovely to see so many of you over there. I'm really looking forward to diving into it in November. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, for being here, for enjoying literary vibes. It's such a fun thing to share all together, and I'm excited to keep doing it, so I'll see you when I do in my next video.